On this episode of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch, we have a pretty wide variety of cards to look at. This video is sponsored by Flipside Gaming. Check out flipsidegaming.com for all your gaming needs. Right now you can order Innistrad Remastered, pre-order Ether Drift, or find a vast number of other great items on their website. Remember, shipping is free in the US if your order is over $100 or consists only of singles. Just look in the description or the comment section below for direct links to their site. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to another edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch. A lot to talk about this week. Innistrad Remastered has been released, although since it just came out, we're not going to be looking at any cards from the set quite yet. Once we have a baseline next week, we'll begin adding them into the hot and cold lists where applicable. This week, however, we're going to be looking at 15 different cold cards moving down in value and 10 hot cards that are going up. Like we've been doing, we'll quickly move through those cold cards and spend more time examining why the cards moving up in price are heating up. As always, our lists are based on two pieces of criteria: the percentage change in the value of the cards, as well as the change in the number of sales from week to week. Also, I just want to remind you, we are doing a Commander Deck Tech video series now that releases to the Gold Patrons and Hero and Legend tier channel members on Sundays. Everybody else then gets access on Wednesday afternoons. But this week we're going to be looking at one of the new Ether Drift Precons, Eternal Might. Not only are we going to see all the cards that are in that product, but we're also going to talk about upgrading that deck. Quickly before we get into the Market Watch though, one more fast thing. I do want to say thank you to one of our Hero and Legend tier channel members, and that is Joseph Capitani. Joseph, thank you so much for all your support, not only being a channel member, but also for your comments and your insight that you leave on the videos. It's all appreciated. Thank you very much. And now, without any further ado, let's get into it. We'll begin with the 15 coldest cards of the week. You might remember from last week's video that a new shipment of the Bloomborough Commander decks hit stores, so several key cards from those decks are getting cheaper, including our number 15 card, Bellow, Bard of the Brambles, down $1.09 to $3.40. That's a 24% decrease. This is the borderless foil copy that comes with the Bloomborough Animated Army Commander deck. Number 14, Steel Seraph. This is down $1.11 to $3.65. That's a 23% decrease. Number 13 is Bright Cap Badger, down $1.14 to $3.39. That is a 25% decrease. Another card from the Bloomborough Animated Army Commander deck. Number 12, Liliana's Contract from Core Set 2019, down $1.20 to $5.29. That's an 18% decrease. Number 11, Thickest in the Thicket, down $1.22 to $3.49. That's a 26% decrease. Yet another card from the Bloomborough Animated Army Commander deck. Number 10, Spectral Deluge, down $1.27 to $4.78. That's a 21% decrease. This is from the Keltime Phantom Premonition Commander deck. Number 9, Wildseer Scouring Maw, down $1.36 to $2.24. That's a 38% decrease. This is the foil copy that comes with the Bloomborough Animated Army Commander deck. Number 8 is Perch Protection, down $1.56 to $3. That's a 34% decrease. This is from the Bloomborough Peace Offering Commander deck. Number 7, Gorman's Talent, down $1.82 to $3. That's a 38% decrease. Each Bloomborough Commander deck has an exclusive talent spell that cannot be pulled anywhere else, including collector boosters. This is the exclusive talent from the Squirreled Away deck. Number 6, Rootcast Apprenticeship, down $1.94 to $2.52. That's a 44% decrease. This is also from the Bloomborough Squirreled Away Commander deck. Number 5, Hazel of the Root Bloom, down $2.67 to $7.67. That's a 26% decrease. This is the foil borderless copy that comes with the Squirreled Away Commander deck. Number 4, Attempt with Bunnies, down $3.13 to $5. That's a 39% decrease. This is from the Bloomborough Peace Offering Commander deck. This one is up 6 spots this week to number 3, Hazel's Brewmaster, down $3.25 to $11.25. That's a 22% decrease. And yes, another card from Bloomborough's Squirreled Away Commander deck. Number 2, for the second week in a row, Jacked Rabbit, down $3.46 to $11.54. That's a 23% decrease. This is from Family Matters, the Bloomborough Commander deck, not the TV show. And coming in at number 1 is 20-Toed Toad, down $4.96 to $6.68. That's a 43% decrease. This is from the Bloomborough Peace Offering Commander deck. However, in addition to more copies of that deck hitting the marketplace, this card is also in the latest Secret Lair Commander deck called 20 Ways to Win. So a lot more copies of 20 Toad Toad are getting out there right now. Okay, now on to the main event, the top 10 hottest cards of the week, starting with number 10, Flagon, Lord of the Beach. This is up $1.02 to $5.52 for a 23% increase. All the anime cards from Magic Foundation's Jumpstart lost a lot of value upon release. There was a lot of hype around them, but as packs got cracked, supply began to meet demand and prices came down. Now, however, we see this jumping up quite a bit percentage-wise. Why is that? Well, it has been a fairly popular commander, and it appears in the 99 of Arcades the Strategist builds too, but perhaps this card has shined the brightest in 1v1 dual commander. There are builds that run this as the commander and run a bunch of high toughness creatures with powerful effects and abilities in the 99. Just in general though, this card is good in the 99 of 1v1 decks, considering there's a lot of powerful, low power, high toughness creatures played in that format. Flagon is definitely a card to keep an eye on long term. Number 9, Coercive Portal from Conspiracy. It's up $1.48 to $7.28. That's a 26% increase. This gets a little commander play. You see it in builds like Tivit Seller of Secrets, the Valeyard, and Feldegriff, for example. Coercive Portal also tends to be a popular cube card due to its prominence in the MTGO Vintage Cube over the years. Ultimately, though, this price increase is tied into the fact that it's just getting harder to find copies of the card. It has only been reprinted once, and that was when it was part of the Lost Caverns of Ixalan's Box Topper subset. Number 8, Wall of Stolen Identity, up $1.50 to $4.86. That's a 45% increase. This is from the Commander 2019 Mystic Intellect deck. It's another card that appears in Arcades the Strategist commander builds, but you see it in other decks too, like Ramacon Sky Rampart and Ovar the Allform. Again though, here's a case of a card that's getting harder to find in the secondary market. This is the only printing of Wall of Stolen Identity. At some point I'm sure it's going to get reprinted, but in the meantime, it's climbing. A week ago, this was our number 9 hot card. Last week it moved up 2 spots to number 7, and that's where it remains this week. Sandstorm Salvager, up $2.20 to $10.93. That's a 25% increase. This sees a little commander play. Sometimes it appears in Hazel of the Root Bloom, Bernard Ginger Sculptor, or Gira Mirror of the Wilds decks, for example. But standard is the format that's causing the spike you see here. This is a 4 of in a new Selesnya Tokens build that came in first place a couple weeks ago at the Star City Games Standard Open. Over the last couple weeks, that deck really took off. Now there's even a Bant version of the build running Sandstorm Salvager. Plus, remember, the cards from Outlaws of Thunder Junction's The Big Score subset are harder to pull than cards from the main set. All in all, it's not too surprising to see this jumping for a third week in a row. Number 6 is Jeweled Amulet, up $2.48 to $9.08. That's a 38% increase. Now here's an old one-print wonder that has become really hard to find in high grade. It doesn't take much interest to spike a card like this, and there are reasons why players have been looking for Jeweled Amulet over the last few months. First, it is found in some builds in both regular and 1v1 dual commander. In regular commander, you see this in decks like Urzilor High Artificer, Fibblethip Lost on the Range, as well as partner builds around Feywild Visitor and Karlach Fury of Avernus. Secondly, in September, Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus were banned in Commander, which led to players trying out different replacement cards. Some are still speccing on this zero-cost mana rock, but obviously it's not on the same power level as the banned cards. Be careful with this one though, a reprint would really hurt its value quickly. Plus, I wouldn't be surprised if some of the people speccing on this card dump copies when they see the latest price jump. Okay, before we get to the top 5, just a fast reminder, this video is sponsored by Flipside Gaming. Check out flipsidegaming.com for all your gaming needs. Right now you can order Innistrad Remastered, pre-order Ether Drift, or pick up any number of other great items on their site, Magic related or otherwise. Remember, if your order's over $100 or consists only of singles, shipping will be free in the United States. And if you're looking for a direct link to their site, just check out the description or the comment section below. I do have links posted in both of those places. And now, without any further ado, let's get to the top 5. Last week, this was number 15 on our expanded hot list. This week, it moves up 10 spots to number 5. Pest Control, up 286 to 751. That's a 62% increase. Well, it's another card from Outlaws of Thunder Junction's The Big Score subset. Again, remember that means it is harder to pull than a card from the main set. Currently, one of the most popular decks in Standard is Esper's Self-Bounce, and that deck runs a bunch of 1 casting cost cards. Things like Nurturing Pixie, Spiteful Hexmage, Stormchaser's Talent, Hopeless Hexmage, Optimistic Scavenger, and Cadaver Lab as long as only that room is unlocked and not Defiled Crypt. This has led to Pest Control becoming a highly played sideboard card in the format. The deck using it in its board the most is actually the Esper's Self-Bounce deck itself, where it appears almost half the time in order to deal with the mirror matchup. But the card is starting to show up in other builds too, like Esper's and sometimes Orzhov Midrange and Orzhov Token Control. Additionally, you see Pest Control in Modern Esper Murktide, but Standard is truly the key driver for this price spike. Number 4, Crystal Spray, up 329 to 1419, that's a 30% increase. This is played in a single deck casual format known as Forgetful Fish. The deck consists of 80 cards, and they typically run 10 copies of Dan Dan, as well as a bunch of spells that support the strategy of getting your Dan Dans across for damage, while protecting yourself from your opponent's Dan Dans. This format provides players with a fun and unique way to play quick games in between rounds at a tournament. The Crystal Spray is being filled, or rather, it's been filling some of those Forgetful Fish decks. Toss in the fact that it's a 24-year-old one-print wonder, and you got yourself the spike you see here. Number 3, Recruiter of the Guard. The Conspiracy Take the Crown copy of 269 to 1569, that's a 21% increase. The Modern Horizons 3 copy of 287 to $9, that's a 47% increase. And the Mystery Booster copy is up 838 to 1491, that's a 128% increase. This card has been seeing play in multiple formats, including 1v1 Dual Commander, Regular Commander, Legacy, and Modern. First, in Commander, it's in several builds, like Arabella Abandoned Doll and Heliod Sun Crown, for example. In 1v1 Commander, it's in Felia Exuberant Shepherd decks and more. Meanwhile, in Legacy, you see it in various Yorion Death and Taxes builds, as well as Esper Vial, but Modern is the format causing Recruiter of the Guard to spike this week. The Modern meta is still being solved since the big banned and restricted list update that occurred in December, and this is a 4 of in a new version of Orzhov Midrange, which is performing very well currently. The deck runs plenty of targets for a Recruiter to grab, and it has been putting up strong results on MTGO this week. Additionally, you see this card in other Modern builds too, like Orzhov Stoneblade, Death and Taxes, Mono White Stoneblade, Celestia Midrange, and Bat Midrange, but among those decks, Orzhov Midrange is getting the most play by far. Number 2, Teferi's Response, up $11.68 to $16.71. That is a 232% increase if you're doing the math at home. This invasion printing is the only tournament legal copy, so again we have an older card that is pretty dry in the secondary market. Now this does see a little commander play in Noyandar Royal Shaper builds, but the format that's causing the spike you see here is actually pre-modern. This has become a big sideboard card in that format, used to protect key lands. For example, this is played in a control deck called Blue Tide, which controls the battlefield with Parallax Tide, then it wins with Mishra's Factory and Fairy Conclave. Pre-Modern continues to play a larger and larger role when it comes to card pricing. And finally, moving up one spot to number 1, Grinding Station from 5th Dawn. It goes up $11.90 to $34.89, that is a 52% increase. Even though this was reprinted in a Future Sight frame in Mystery Booster 2, this card is still spiking aggressively, which does say something. It's moving up because of Modern, and as we discussed, December's banned and restricted list update really shook up that format. The unbanning of Mox Opal pushed the Grinding Station Breach builds, and the Teamer version in particular is really taken off. Now there are other variations out there, including 4-color, Gruul, and Jeskai, but Teamer Grinding Station Breach has seen the most success in the meta by far. The build includes the combo of a 0 casting cost artifact, which now includes Mox Opal, Grinding Station, and Underworld Breach in order to mill yourself until you end the game with either Thassa's Oracle or Grape Shot. Grinding Station does see a little commander play too. It's in a few decks there, including Omnixilus Captive Kingpin builds for example, but Modern is the key driver this time. That's going to do it for this episode of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch, but join us later in the week when we look at the Eternal Might Commander deck. That's one of the new Aether Drift ones that will be coming out in February. Like I said at the top of the video, not only are we going to look at all the new cards, the reprints, but we're also going to talk about how to upgrade that deck to make it more competitive. Until next time, that way, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.